Hello, Luke here. I would just like to take a moment to disclose upfront that we sometimes talk about sensitive topics in our podcasts, and in fairness to our audience, we will try our best to put specific warnings in the descriptions of each episode. Now on with the show.
Otis tortures teens, muffling their screams. Baby does a dance once in Billy's pants. Mama Firefly watches as you die. Tiny sets you free. Spalding won't let you be. Skinning your daddy and trashing your caddy and sewing you up into a fish boy. Skinning your daddy and trashing your caddy and sewing you up into a fish boy.
Nice.
Little Dracula in honor of...
That was brilliant.
I'm so glad you did a Rob Zombie song. So I was like, dude, if you don't do Rob Zombie song, like...
Well, I was like struggling with Robert, like, because I was looking at Robert Zombie's like hits.
Mr. Robert Zombie.
Yeah, I was
His
like,
entire
I wanted to
discography.
do like Thunder 65 or, yeah, and I was just like, that doesn't fucking work. And like, and then aside from like, yeah, as far as like his major hits, like Dracula is like the one that you can do, basically. It was like everything else is like, oh, that's a lot of like, it's kind of like when you do karaoke and you're like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to do this song. And then you get up on stage and you're like, wow, there's a lot of gobbledygook until we get to the part of the song I know. Like, there's a lot of Rob Zombie, like, kind of Red Hot Chili Peppers level scatting going on. Like, a lot of, like, I am the one who digs the grave, comes up and does this dance with the slave, doop-a-doop, and you're just like, oh, fuck. Like, yeah, it's a lot of, like, Satan's bones kind of stuff. And then finally he gets to the part where it's like, more human than human. And you're like, oh, okay, it's this song. So I was like looking at lyrics on Genius and I was just like, fuck, this is garbage. Like, I can't do this one.
And welcome to the Nostalgic Killers podcast, where we revisit films from our youth to see if they still hold up or should be inserted into the great DVD player in the sky. My name is Luc Londe, joined once again, almost as always, by Chuck Starzenski.
We are fully in spooky season.
Oh, God. And again, almost as always, by Javier Martinez.
Heck yeah, glad to be back.
And once again, for the fourth time,
Yeah, sure, we'll say that many times.
Something
Julie
like that.
Kaplan.
Hi guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here. Glad to be back.
And we watched House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yes.
Dum 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 dum. No, I can't.
Yeah.
House
But
of a large number of dead people.
I think I will be layering in some guitar under your song.
Yeah.
I can play that song. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's do that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Let's set a precedent to make the show harder than it already is.
Exactly. You thought the wait times between episodes was long? Think again.
Got to go back in the studio to
Exactly.
record the fucking opening again.
Dude, you did not land the drum roll. Also, Tobin dropped the bass, so now we got to start a fundraiser to get a new bass. But yeah.
How do we explain this movie?
Too many ideas.
Yeah. So much going on.
How do we explain it to someone who's never seen it? The pitch, like
A family of demented Southern murder enthusiasts torment a group of youthful travelers, and also there's a killer clown and some fried chicken.
And gasoline.
The gasoline.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a Rob Zombie song? Yeah, that's that.
You experienced
That one.
Robert Zombie before.
That one.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, Julia, you haven't seen this yet.
Yeah, I was a virginal, fresh little newborn infant when I went into this movie, and I came out a bedraggled gutter snipe. I
Wow, your dreads look beautiful,
Yeah,
though.
I'm just feeling my oats. I'm feeling very Robert Zombie today. I would say I do have some nostalgic attachment to this film because it's just so quintessentially Rob Zombie. It's like the same era as Dracula, which was the same era that I was like getting into alternative music and alternative media and like kind of, feeling my little emo heart, flutter for the first time. Ooh, little bat wings. And so in that way, it was surprisingly nostalgic because it was like, oh yeah, this is totally a Rob Zombie movie. This is like, this literally screams Rob Zombie at times. So I actually was like we were off to a good start, I would say. Even for someone with no association with it, it was like, oh yeah, this screams childhood to me for some reason.
Right on.
And I just want to put a quick disclaimer out to guests of the show who have been on prior. I am so sorry. I could have sworn Julia was like, please let me do House of a Thousand Corpses. So whoever I am forgetting at the moment, just know that you are loved and I'm very sorry.
No, you're not. He's not sorry. He's mad. He's angry at you. He's torturing you.
How about you, Javi?
Yeah, so I was still kind of young, I guess, when this movie came out. So I didn't see it like in theaters or like, right away or anything like that. But I have this like memory engraved in my head of the cover of the DVD is like one of those that like I would always walk by and be like, whoa, spooky. Like it would like freak me out. I'd be like, oh no, I don't want to be in this section. I don't want to get nightmares. I don't want to look at like the spooky stuff, Probably wasn't having nightmares at that point anymore, but just it still freaked me out. I was like, I don't like that ugly face on the cover. And then, probably honestly not too long after that, 2-3 years after it came out, I was like, oh yeah, that's that spooky movie that I always see on the shelf. Let me go watch that. And yeah, well, I remember watching it and being like, oh yeah, that was super cool and being super into it. And yeah, we'll get more into it, but yeah, that's right. Probably haven't seen it in a while. I own the movie, but
yeah, same.
I haven't seen it in at least 10 years, probably.
I'll talk about why. But
what?
This movie is flawless, which is a lie.
Yeah, I was 14 when this came out. I was already a fan of Rob Zombie's music. I totally owned like Hellbilly Deluxe and stuff like that, and was listening to White Zombie on the radio all the time. And I vividly remember seeing the poster, like as you said, like vividly remember seeing the poster at like a local movie theater and being like, holy shit, what is this? Like the iconic Stark corpse, like zombie thing on the cover. I was like, oh my God, I have to see this movie. Oh my God, I have to see this movie. Oh my God, I have to see this movie. I did not see this movie. I was like 14, so, it's like, hey, my life wasn't exactly in my own hands. But I did eventually like rent it on DVD when it came out. And this like was in heavy rotation in my teenage years, along with the sequel, Devil's Rejects. And yeah, it was just like, for better or for worse, quoted by me and my friends. And like, yeah, it was definitely one of those that I was like, oh yeah, like this is like, this movie's amazing. It's going to age like fine wine. And then like the older I've gotten, there's feelings of, there's feelings.
A little
we'll
more
get
like
into
pudding.
it. Yeah.
Congealing.
Yeah.
Eggy.
Yeah.
What about you, Luke?
I believe it's a little, prescient's the wrong word, but fitting. I think the first time I saw part of this movie was in a giant porn shop in Florida.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the shop. I'm only remembering it now.
Was it Pussy Liquors?
No, that's pretty funny though. But there was this giant 2-story, like circus tent shaped building, just porn and toys and stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Hot.
And I was in the Coast Guard, so all the people on the ship always just wanted to go there.
So you were stocking up.
Yeah. Apparently. But while my friends went and like ran around the store, I was stuck watching the CRT television with House of a Thousand Corpses on it.
What? That was an experience.
And that was the first time I saw it. And then I ended up buying it later on and watching it. And like Sid Haig, I could watch Sid Haig cook for forever.
Yeah.
And I was a huge fan of Rob Zombie, White Zombie, and just I never understood what their hits were. I just kind of bought their albums and listened to everything, assuming that everyone was rocking out to the whole fucking thing. So I don't know what everyone's opinion is on Mr. Robert, but
Mr. Bob Zombie.
I think I've also said before my favorite story about Rob Zombie is the time, I think it was like 2013 or 14, where he got kicked out of his own concert because he was so drunk and crusty. They thought he was a homeless guy.
Bless his heart.
And
Bless his beautiful heart.
He was late to be on stage because he had to fight to get back in and prove that he was Rob Zombie. That's my favorite rock and roll story of all
That's
time.
brilliant.
I'll repeat it again next time we talk about him because
That's some punk shit.
I just love the idea of like
fucking awesome.
tossing out a vagrant and then like the club owner being like, whoa, no. It's like, did you smell him? And then just like getting like,
well, like the security guard's like, I got it all over me.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, fucking hell, get him out of here.
Yeah. No, that's Robert Zombie. You don't understand.
He's the show.
That's
he is the
corpse.
show. Otis Stankwater.
Right on. Favorite scenes.
Just to kick it off, the murder ride.
That's so good.
It's pretty good.
It's just so good. I just want to go on the murder ride. Like, if you have any kind of interest in nasty figures of history who did heinous, terrible things, something like that sounds very appealing.
Yeah.
I was a little curious as to how no one was suspicious of the fact that there was just a murder ride in a gas station being operated by a clown. But you know what? Suspension of disbelief. We'll just call it that, I guess. That was definitely a little confusing, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite one to pick. I have the murder ride, but I also wrote down Agatha Christie's.
So
it was the first time I noticed it this time around. I just I missed that scene entirely because I was laughing my ass off at this dad joke in the middle of this fucking. It's like perfect,
like mid torture. It's like
like it's super like tense and scary, and it's tiny in a mask, and then it's got a box of obviously fucking fake Agatha Christie's, and like the worst prop I've ever seen. But the joke fucking plays. I love it.
Also, just the first time we see Dr. Satan, it's just such a moment. It's just such a. It does. It is.
I was really impressed with the makeup. I don't think I've actually watched this movie all the way through as many times as I've started watching it. But this time analyzing it, I was like, that's fucking great.
That's great.
The attention to detail is insane in this movie.
Yep.
We're like 2/3 through the movie. I was like, where's Dr. Satan? And we're always talking about him. I could have sworn he was in this movie.
Where is Dr. Satan? Where is that crazy guy?
Check out something to say about that later for sure.
I have some choice words.
I am also a Rob Zombie fan, like just of his music. So I mean, just in the most general sense, I do like the feel and the look and the sound of everything in this movie. Not as a movie, right? But just separately, like, you know, like
it's just a big music video.
Big music video, or if, you know, like all the you know little the set designs and stuff, aka Rob Zombie's garage or his backyard, you know. He just you know showed up with a big old pickup truck and like, you guys unload all my shit and put it on set, and it's just you know, but yeah, again, just the aesthetic of it all is super neat, and I enjoy it. Yeah,
nice. So your scene is just the action, not the movie, but
it's more just the set dressing.
Yeah, no. For like you know, for a specific scene, I did have we can get more into it later, but I'm not a huge fan of the Captain Spaulding character.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Right. But one of my favorite scenes is one with him, right?
Oh,
with his first interaction with I forget Rainn Wilson's character.
Billy.
Dwight.
Or Bill.
Well, not Dwight.
It's
Bill.
just Dwight.
When he's like, you know, telling him like, oh, well, you know, that he's writing for you know, for people who are traveling. He's like, well, I don't travel. I said, well, supposing you did. It's like, but I don't. And he's like, well, just hypothetically, if you did. And he's like, which I don't. And he's like, why would I? Yeah. And so the little back and forth, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's actually probably the only bit of the entire movie that's like, oh, that's really good dialogue.
Yeah.
Every other dialogue is
intimidating as fuck.
Yeah. No, it's great. And it starts off with the whole, oh, how long is it? And he's like, well, how long's a piece of string?
Yeah.
And I love it because I want to say that was probably ad-libbed, because Rainn Wilson's like little pause and reaction to that, like he's really like, what? I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Too fucking long.
Line?
Yeah. That's great. I love that whole little scene, yeah.
Hell yeah. I'll just burn through mine really quick. Yeah, Captain Spaulding's banter scenes are my favorite scenes. That's, you know, where he's talking with the police and the travelers and all that. It's problematic, but I fucking love it. The Halloween Eve talent show. is so fun and so that's weird and bizarre. And like, I feel like that's kind of, again, getting into the zombie aesthetic. It's like, oh, this right here is his heart and soul, is this kind of weird shit.
Yeah.
As far as actual like horror movie tropes and whatnot, the car assault is fucking phenomenal. Where they come down off of the scarecrow stalks and like, that's like actually terrifying. Yeah. It's like, oh.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then, the entire Halloween night with the dad mask and the bunny suits and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then my favorite very minute scene happens in the murder ride. And this might actually be my favorite scene in the whole movie. They're in the murder ride going through, and it's just like a 2-second clip. But Chris Hardwick's character looks like over just to kind of check the place out. And there's like, they've done it up. Like we've got Albert Fisk and like all these like actual serial killers and stuff like that. And then there's a moment where they look over and there's just a really bad zombie puppet just smacking
the torso.
Torso, smacking its head against the fence, screaming, "Why? Why?
Yes.
That is the funniest part in the whole. That movie makes me piss my pants every time.
Yes, good. I'm glad you said that.
That's the thing with this movie too, is that they're like nuggets of brilliance, scattered throughout, but hidden behind big stinky piles of horse shit.
That's a beautiful transition.
Excellent transition.
Speaking of horse shit, what are your nitpicks, Julia?
Well, I had a few.
What?
The very first thing I have down is just all of the jump cuts to random pieces of footage were so, like, to me, they were very disorienting. You would have like, it was interesting. It was interesting to see like the two aesthetics. You had kind of like the very snuff film aesthetic, and then you had the more polished kind of actual plot line. But for me, it was like, why, okay. Oh, now this is happening. Wow, this is a wild ride. When did we decide that we were going to do this?
I actually loved that.
Really?
Personally, yeah.
I think it's a homage to bad VHS recording.
Exactly. That's why, like,
back when people used to record TV and stuff on, you'd get random clips,
right,
recorded in the middle of the things you didn't want.
See,
and sometimes if it was scrambled porn, it would be in the negative, the way it's shown.
Okay. I was, as someone who kind of caught the tail end of that era, that reference went right over my head.
If you didn't grow up in the 80s and experience all that.
For someone who had no point of view for that, like no reference for that, it was just kind of disorienting and like,
there's a lot of
why is this happening?
I noticed this time around there's actually a lot more than I remembered.
Yeah, it happens a lot. That's the other thing. If it was kind of sprinkled in here and there, I think it would have been an interesting choice and probably would have been, at least to my eyes, a little less offensive. But because it just kept happening, it was just like, oh, okay, what? And now there's a graveyard and it's in negative, I guess, and interesting. Okay, did I take the acid before I started watching this? I thought I didn't take the acid, but maybe I did.
It's very student filmy.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle where, like, I got the homage and I love it, but it's definitely overused. Like, there's moments where it works way better.
Oh, it's so overused.
Like when they use it like during the murder ride, like that's good. When they use it as a way to kind of like give you a little bit more into, Baby's character or Otis's character, like just brief clips of like, oh, okay, so just confirming they're fucking psychopaths. That works. But then there's moments where it doesn't need to happen and it just does, and you're like, oh, that was a tree. I don't need to see the tree in the middle of the woods. Like,
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah. So there's moments where I think
it's overused, and there's moments where it's like mid-scene where we come back to the same scene. That's when I'm like, this is dumb. But when it's used as a transition, those are the moments I actually like, where it's like, oh, okay, it's like we're in the house and now weird like 50s hula dancer, and then now we're like in dad's neighborhood. Like that kind of stuff I enjoy.
Judiciously applied, I think it could have been a really cool way to kind of add some tension and just kind of keep you like disoriented just enough that you're like on the edge of your seat. But because it was so overused, at least from my perspective, it was just kind of, it got to be a bit much at some point, and kind of that, same thing of like, if you keep, repeating the same thing over and over and over again, it eventually loses all meaning and, and form. And it's like, by the end of it, I was like, and now we're doing this again. Okay, cool. Great.
There was the skunk head couple. Like, I didn't remember them at all, but there's like these two characters we never see, but accepted negative.
Yeah.
And they're telling that story.
And they never
Bigfoot
exist
fucked
anywhere
my wife,
else.
that son of a
It's like chick getting chased by Bigfoot. Dude talking about how Bigfoot may or may not have had an affair with his wife in graphic terms.
She thinks it happened.
And she's like, I don't know. He just did things all up inside me. It was just a little bit strange.
I don't know. I enjoyed that personally.
I did too, but I just didn't remember it in the movie.
It was just one of those where it's like, okay, the fuck is this? Who are you? All right, bye. The other thing I had was, who is the plot? Who is she? We don't know her. Plot. Oh, we start in a gas station with chicken and a clown. Murder. Ooh, robbery. Makes sense. Okay, we're setting something up here. Nope. Not at all. Actually, it's about something completely different.
I saw it as like a meat grinder setup where Spaulding would send people out over to the camp.
I got the same kind of vibe. I was like, okay, I see why this character is here. He clearly serves, the plot, but the way everything was connected from a storytelling standpoint, it was just so choppy, and there was no, because there was so little setup. Yeah, it was kind of cool because you got dropped in and you had to just kind of whoa, I have to figure this world out with the characters while they're figuring it out. But it was also just kind of like, ooh, what is happening? Excuse me, I'll just tentatively raise my hand here. Could someone tell me what's going on?
Yeah, that's my biggest nitpick is there's all caps when I took notes. There's too many fucking ideas in this movie.
Too much going on, yeah.
Way too much.
Too many dicks on the dance floor.
Way too many. Just like one less dick, and we'll have a great dance floor. But my biggest, aside from just that, is dude, once they lower her in the coffin, everything underground is fucking gobbledygook.
Yes.
It becomes a different movie for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
the ending is literally just okay, we talked about that Dr. Satan guy at the beginning. Now this is a short film with Dr. Satan's underground horror collection.
Right,
and it's it just hits you. It's just oh, there's Dr. Satan. Oh, we've got these are they zombies? Are they creatures? The specimens basically that he's created?
Yeah, right.
It's hard cut to Repo the Genetic Opera. It makes no sense.
Can Dr. Satan reanimate like Frankenstein? What's going on here?
They're bunny suit enthusiasts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The big red guy too. Who the fuck is he? With
the
slime coming out of his mouth.
I have a note that's just, who is the meat man? Where did he come from? Was he mentioned before? That was something else, and possibly again by virtue of the fact that I had not seen this movie before. I could not keep track of anyone's name.
Yeah.
I ended up making up nicknames for literally everyone because I couldn't figure out who anyone actually was. The only character I actually figured out right away who, their character was Tiny Tim. And that's because they say very clearly, this is Tiny Tim. Mm-hmm. And they don't do that for anyone else in the movie. No. Sherry Moon shows up and you just go, oh, Sherry Moon, hello. Welcome back.
Yeah, I feel like I only know the characters' names because of Devil's Rejects, because I feel like they retcon. Yeah. In that movie, they retcon a lot of shit. And then also, that's a movie where literally, Javier, did you start the car? No, I did not, Chuck. I thought Julia was gonna. Well, Julia, did not start the car. It's because Luke has the keys. You have the keys, right, Luke? Yes, I am Luke, and I have the keys. So the second film, they really let you know who
T-shirts
people
with
are.
their names on.
Exactly. But how about you, Luke? Any picks of nit?
Yeah, I think this movie, as an homage to almost all horror films, points out a big thing that I have a problem with the genre in general and why I don't really watch it. It's the torture and violence to women as the point. I don't know. Sure. It just kind of turns me off then why I haven't watched this movie in probably 15 years.
Yeah, one of the biggest notes that I had was The sexual violence is unnecessary.
It's weird, and analyzing it the way we do, it's a weird thing to look at. It's like, why is that the good thing about these movies? Why is this genre like laser beam focused on that? And it's because it was always movies made by creepy white men.
Yep, creepy white men for creepy white men.
Yeah.
By creepy white men for creepy white men.
And the only shock value they could think to come up with was to tie cheerleaders up and.
What if we mashed our boobies together?
Exactly. But that's.
We could tie her up and make a mega boob.
Yeah, that's my nitpick. I mean, there's all kinds of student film problems with this movie, but.
Yeah, you could go in on this movie and be ruthless, but it does have like there's something very genuinely delightful about it as well. Like
Sid Haig, I could watch that guy act all day. Just the way he handles himself, the way he intimidates people, and doesn't give a shit. And I wrote down like watching this. Just puts a smile on my face when Sid Haig is on the screen.
Oh yeah,
and I just like felt warm and nostalgic for it at the beginning. But then the rest of it was kind of torture.
Yeah, I was going to say, to your comment about the treatment of women and stuff like that in horror, obviously terrible, kind of a backbone, unfortunately, a backbone of the genre.
Yeah.
But my biggest nitpick with Mr. Zombie is the more movies he makes, the more he leans into that bullshit.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it's like, I still enjoy this movie. I need to rewatch Devil's Rejects. I still like Devil's Rejects. There is one scene in particular that I might fast forward through the next time I watch Devil's Rejects. But yeah, everything after the Devil's Rejects, he just keeps just cranking the assault to like 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they think they have to keep going harder, as they go along instead of doing something more clever. I don't know.
Yeah. At a certain point, it starts feeling like a cop out of like, oh, you could like torment these women, I guess. And yeah, there's going to be someone who, gets real into that. But there are just so many more interesting scares and so many more interesting ways to kind of come at characters and to come at, setting up a kill or setting up these situations and adding to the horror of it all that don't rely on just abject sexual violence and, kind of the exploitation of dead ladies.
Which actually, Luke, to your comment, they actually have moved away from that quite a bit, like in recent years.
Well, that's the thing is, I was going to say, I hate to give it credit, but like the Saw series, it kind of does it smarter than this.
Yeah. No,
So
they
like,
definitely moved
even
away
though
from
I
it.
hate the Saw.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It doesn't mean
Let's
the
leave
newer movies
Javier
are good.
alone. We all bagged on him on the last
Stay
episode.
tuned for the post show so I can talk to Chuck about
I haven't listened to that one yet, so I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, no, stay tuned
Disclaimer.
for the post show. But yeah. Thankfully.
They have it's moved away, and this is like an homage to like the 70s and 60s, 70s, and 80s. So
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Totally.
Do you have any other nitpicks, Mr. Javier?
I mean, I touched on a lot of what you guys talked about. Too much going on. It being two separate movies, which I feel kind of like a hypocrite when I put that on my nitpicks because there's a lot of movies where I really like that. Where I'm like, oh, I like that. It's like two different, I don't know, like Dusk Till Dawn or something like that, But they do it better, I think, and I don't like it in this movie.
That's because it's not a student film when they do it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess the nitpick that I'll talk about, which again is funny because I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I hate seeing this in movie reviews when people when critics talk about like, oh, this film felt very like adolescent, like the adolescent humor, like the adolescent, because I don't know, it makes me mad because I'm like, no, dude, like that's still funny. Like you don't have to be a fucking adolescent to like, I thought, like I get it, but also like I just don't like it.
Yeah,
right?
they can fart jokes till the end of time.
Yeah. But I found myself thinking watching this movie, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of adolescent, man.
You can have too much duty humor.
Right? Yeah, too much. Yeah, just like a lot of. Again, like, I'm sorry, but I felt like a lot of Captain Spaulding stuff. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I get it. Like, dick and balls. Like, okay, like, can we, because again, Sid Haig, he's a great actor. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I love him, but I was just like, okay, too much. Like, I wrote some of the stuff down and but there's like in a span of 30 seconds, wanking your weasel and whatever. I'm gonna shove my boot up your ass and eat the shit off of it. It just goes on and on.
If I wanted to listen to an asshole, I'd fart. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Like this is a bit much, actually.
Yeah. So I just
excessive.
It needed to be toned down a bit. Yeah. I think too much. Like you guys talked about the student film kind of vibe. I'm like, okay, I didn't want to be that guy, but I'm like, oh, this kind of seems like something I would have made like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
I looked it up.
He's not be dead.
Mr. Robert Zombie's got nothing on me.
Or not even made it because again, I that's not the technical stuff is not my forte. But like I would have written this 10 years ago, and it probably would have been better. But I'm just saying.
I want to see Mr. Martinez's House of 1,000 Corpses.
The dialogue in this movie is very interesting in the sense that at times it's like you can see what they were going for, and it's like, you're right there. The joke, it's right there. You're so close. No, okay. And it just it's just like a weak ejaculation, it's just not quite there. And I had like in my notes, one of the very first notes that I took was like, oh, the dialogue, it's like super snappy and witty. And then it very quickly just kind of devolved into gobbledygook at times. And it's like, there were moments where it felt like the script was also just doing too much. Like, I think this film honestly just suffers from too much syndrome. It's like severely too much. It needs to be, she needs to be shaved.
I have a plot hole question. Does Dr. Satan only get fresh meat on Halloween?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole Dr. Satan thing, which I'll get into more on my like controversial hot takes, is like, it's so confusing. Like, okay, we get like a little backstory during the murder ride, and then we're like, all right, I don't know, forget that guy, fuck him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, does he, or are they constantly killing and like giving him new experiments?
There's a lot of bodies in there.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
It's 1,000 of them to be exact.
But they make like a big ornamental display of it as if like this is the sacrifice we do every year.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Maybe they just do like kind of a blood fest every year for Dr. Satan, but normally they like pay him rent.
Comes creeping up in his weird mechanical fucking spider suit thing.
We 1,800 this month.
Exactly. Now, Otis. Let's let you guys slide last month, but it is the 7th. Here, have a 16-year-old. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Delicious.
How about we go on to the rainy day pairing?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious. What y'all have?
I'm ready to get chewed out first, so I'll go first. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Your butt's prepared.
I'm ready for this, but I liked the trajectory that Rob Zombie was going in. Okay, and then absolutely fell off, and just I haven't even seen the last 2-3 things that he's done. I had interest in watching him, but I didn't. So for my rainy day pairing, I have Halloween. His take on Halloween, which pretty divisive. A lot of people hate it, and it's one of those things. There's nobody like in the middle, like, it was fine. It's either you hate it or you love it.
Right? Yeah,
I loved it. I didn't mind getting some of the lore that we get in that movie.
Well, he took it away from the original lore, didn't he? Kind of like started his own branch.
Yeah.
He kind of like retconned everything a little bit.
Yeah,
and I thought it worked. I
liked that.
Yeah,
because like the series is getting a little old and samey,
right? Right. And again, as someone who's like, but clearly a fan of the genre and stuff, and okay, maybe he can't make his own stuff, but like, let's see what how the same way that we're talking about. Well, this is what I would have done with 1,000 Corpses. Well, let's see what he would have done with Halloween, and I enjoyed his take on it, and I think it's in some ways, it's a little bit more of a mature Rob Zombie, right? Because a lot of that crazy shit is toned down, and it's like, okay, this is just a straight horror movie. We're not getting fucking.
I thought he was very respectful.
Yeah.
To the idea and the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, second one debatable, but definitely, I would say if for some reason you watched 1,000 Corpses and you were like, oh yeah, I'm kind of interested to see more, but like I'm a little skeptical because it was kind of weird. Yeah. Okay, well check out Halloween.
Yeah,
right on.
And stop there.
Don't watch the second one.
If it says monsters on it, leave it alone.
Run far, run fast. Yeah. Put it in a bag, throw it in the river, run away.
How about you, Julia?
I had two. So the first one I had was Mars Attacks.
Okay.
Because I feel like even though
Nice.
it's obviously like less of a horror film, I mean, it's got some pretty like grotesque and horrifying parts to it, enough that they traumatized me as a child. But it's not like a hack 'em up, slash 'em up kind of a film, but it's that same level of camp. It's that same kind of like shticky, ridiculous kind of vibe. And then the other one I had was Blood Feast, because it's, again, there's so many like callbacks to just, classic horror films and to those kind of, gore fest movies of like the 60s, 70s, 80s, where it's just like gallons of fake blood and, sheep's intestines everywhere and, just really nasty, gnarly shit. So I was like, either something super campy that goes with that kind of ridiculousness, but that's a little more cohesive, a little more watchable, or something that really kind of takes what they're doing with the horror aspect and just amps it up to 1,000,000 and is kind of like, this is what Mr. Robert Zombie was referencing.
Right.
I have not seen Blood Feast. I don't know that one.
Same.
I don't even know what it is, but I'm
It's
going
solid.
to look it up.
It's like a classic, like exploitation. I think it's barely 70s. I think it's like
It's
69
like
or 71.
60s, I want to
interesting.
say. Yeah, early 70s. And it's a good old fashioned gore fest. There's a bit of cannibalism, which we love to see. And
So it's got a wide menu. I love that.
Nice. Love it. Hey, what about you guys?
How about you, Chuck?
I went the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
second one.
Which, first one is if you want to get technical, is a better movie and a quote-unquote masterpiece and a good movie.
all right, Chuck.
But the second one is so much goddamn fun.
Yeah.
You've got, like, and I feel like that's where Rob Zombie gets, like, more of the... He's trying to make Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with this movie, half the time, because that's where you get all the weird quips and literally, like, there's so many homages to that movie. Like, that's where the whole, Leatherface in general with the whole skinning of people. But in that one, they literally, the dad scene, like, where, it's like, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? That's literally an homage to Texas 2, because that happens in Texas 2. And...
Nice.
It's so fun. It's also got Bill Moseley, who I don't love in this movie.
Yeah.
But
Bless his heart.
But I do enjoy thoroughly in Devil's Rejects. And he plays Chop Top in that, and he's phenomenal. So if you want to see the more fun side of Bill Moseley, definitely Texas 2.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Right on. I'm going to go completely left field and go with Galaxy Quest.
Oh,
Just to follow Rainn Wilson,
Nice.
over to something a little
yes.
more funny. That's me. That's the first thing I thought of, because like Rainn Wilson in his early career before The Office, he's in some weird things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's having also Rainn Wilson should have. I mean, he's in some stellar films. I wish he would do more movies.
yeah.
Like, have you guys ever seen Hesher?
No.
So fucking great. He plays a clinically depressed man.
Delightful.
Who lives with his daughter. And I don't know if you guys know the term Hesh, but it's just like squatter punk, basically.
Wow.
So this Hesh guy just moves into his house, and he's played by JGL, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh.
And so Rainn Wilson's just like, who are you? And he's just like, they're just hanging out in his house and drinking beer and, ruining his shit. He's like, I don't care. And then it's like this weird buddy story between like this squatter and this really depressed man. And it's incredible.
Sounds fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds uplifting and lighthearted.
Sounds like Rain Over Me but with different people.
Yeah. It's a much funnier, fun Rain Over Me.
Okay,
Rainn
cool.
Wilson over me.
Yeah. It's Rainn Wilson over me. Yes. Well done.
Tip your nurses.
And onto this movie's fantastic cocktail.
Yeah. Well, every week I'm the one who brings the Christmas candy.
Chuck's daddy.
Who's your daddy?
So this week I'm the one who makes you dink. I'm the dink that makes you drink the devil's brandy. So today on the pod, we have the devil's brandy. It's 1.5 ounces of brandy, 1/2 ounce of whiskey, 1 ounce of a homemade holiday spice syrup. So you've got a simple syrup made with a little cinnamon, a little clove, star anise, all those kind of warming spices, and a splash of heavy cream.
Okay, that's where the eggnoggy stuff. That's awesome.
Hey, noggy,
So
noggy,
good.
hey, noggy, noggy.
Mix over ice, take a sip, and tell me, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? And on that upsetting note, it's time for our first ad break.
Let's take our first ad break.
Ad break!
And we're back with Act 2 of the evidence board. Do you have the...
Yeah, I got the stuffs.
I thought I did it, but I don't see it.
Released in 2003. This movie cost $7 million, but it brought home $16 million. Written and directed, as we've said, by the great Robert Zombinski. Robert Zombie wrote and directed the film. I meant to look up his real name. I did not.
It's Robert Zombie.
Yeah, legally.
Legally, it's Robert Zombie. Robert Zombie for long.
This movie has a really interesting history. So originally Universal hired Rom Zombie. It's a Rom. It's a Zom. It's a Zom.
It's a Rom Zom. It's a Rom Zom, yeah.
Universal hired Robert Zombie to design like a Halloween walkthrough haunted house thing. Because they're like, oh yeah, like we love your music videos, like as far as the aesthetic of that goes. Like, you should do that. And he's like, okay. So he was doing that, and he was like assembling like this big spooky walk through Universal Studios haunted house. And while he was doing it, he was getting inspiration. And he was like, he's in LA doing this, and he's just like, I could probably make a movie. And so he literally, while he's like bumping elbows with people, he's like, by the way, I got an idea for a movie. And he like just pitched what came to his head at the time. Did not have a script or anything. Went home and wrote a 12-page treatment that day because he had a meeting like in the morning and was just like, here you go. And they were like, yeah, sure, dude, we love it. That being said, Universal Pictures refused to release the film and actually dropped it and shelved it. Because once he showed it to them, they were like, dude, there's no way this doesn't get an NC-17 rating because this was like the original cut.
Yeah.
And so he went through. So this movie got shot in 2003. It was supposed to come out in 2000, I should say.
Okay,
so shot and was supposed to be released in 2000. It got shelved. He was originally going to do a bunch of tours and raise money so he could actually like release it himself. And then someone at Lionsgate got wind of it and was like, oh, dude. Of course, we'll pick it up. They're responsible for like Saw and stuff like that. They were like rebranding. But once they picked it up, they were like, I'm going to need you to take like 40 minutes out of this. And so he like neutered the hell out of it. In fact, like while he was filming, he kind of knew what movie he was making. So this is like pre-neuter of the film. Several scenes were shot with and without gore as like a preemptive response to the MPAA.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, Robert Zombie hates this movie.
That was one thing I found too.
All he can see when he watches it are the flaws. So he's just like, yeah, this is a bad student film I made for $7 million.
Like, I tried. I did try.
I've got more, but people want to jump in, they can.
Well, one of the fun facts that I got on the note of the fact that this film was just absolutely cut down significantly was there's that scene where we kind of are reinforced with Baby Firefly's insanity, where we see Cherry Moon just kind of tonguing a skeleton and rolling around and being real weird with it. That scene, I guess, was originally significantly longer. It also ended in climax, which is a little spicy. A little extra sauce on there for you. But obviously it was cut because ew. It's a bit much.
How much do you love Halloween?
How much do you love Sherry Moon? Rob Zombie says a lot, and you should too.
Have you seen my wife's ass?
No, but have you seen my wife's ass, and have you seen her perfect breasts? Would you like to?
That was my secret nostalgic moment, by the way.
Yeah.
Assless chaps.
Assless chaps. That's the other thing about this movie is that I can see how, if watched at the right time of life, it could be very influential for a young boy or budding sapphic woman. We just see a lot of big old boobies and big old booties, and they're just right there in your face and like, hey, Sherry Moon.
That's the Rob Zombie, White Zombie aesthetic, though. If you watch their old music videos, the cartoons, it's just boobs and like motorcycle women and hellhounds and
titties.
And more titties. Yeah.
Yep. Rob watched one interview with Elvira and was like, this is what I'm going to pursue.
This is my wife.
This is my wife. I can't marry Cassandra Peters? Well, all right, fine. Then I am going to build Cassandra Peters.
Another fun fact I had was that the house that this was shot in, I think the one that they used for the family's house, was actually the house that they used in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Oh, Jesus.
So, it had that energy. It had that vibe.
Yeah.
Just 40 years later.
Just 40 years later,
Wow.
and having been taken over by a weird acid trip family, the family that does lots and lots of meth together stays together.
Yeah. Tweak together, you create together.
Inbreeding.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of casual inbreeding. Just light and sprinkled.
Yeah.
Go upstairs and get Grandpa, brother.
Brother, father.
Yeah, there's Julia touched on it a little bit, but yeah, there is a lost director's cut, which is not lost like in like Rob Zombie literally lost it. And he's like, it's gone.
I don't know where it is. You can look in my basement.
He's actually like pretty upset because he was supposed to release it like for an anniversary thing,
right.
and it was just like, oh, you mean we just don't own it?
That's pretty funny.
But apparently it's 40 minutes longer, contains much more gruesome and graphic violent scenes, and as Julia touched on before, there's some scenes that reference and then heavily like imply lots of necrophilia happen in that house. Jake McKinnon, the actor who they call him the professor. I call him the big stupid red guy who spits slime.
Oh, Meat Man.
Yeah, Meat Man.
The professor? That's his name?
That's his name, according to IMDb.
He had a name.
But Jake McKinnon, the actor who plays Meat Man, was swinging a real axe in the catacomb scenes.
Safe.
And almost like mortally injured Erin Daniels, who plays the final girl.
Yeah.
Just due to poor visibility of the suit. Because he's got like the little stupid goggles and stuff like that. And so it's just like, yeah.
That's so student filmy.
How difficult is it to acquire a rubber axe? Like,
Doesn't look real enough, Julia.
Doesn't go through the door.
you know what else looks real? Decapitation. Real decapitation looks very real.
Julia, I only have $7 million. I can't afford a good axe.
This is a very low budget.
We already spent 6 on booze.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The real axe stays.
It's an artistic choice.
Get the fuck back in that skeleton hallway. Give me another take.
And then my last 2 fun facts are just really basic. Otis and Baby are clearly heavily modeled after Charles Manson and his followers.
Yeah.
And then, you mentioned them before, like being the one bits that you did like as far as the cutaways. All of the cutaways are either direct Manson quotes or like literally just changing few words. So like when Otis is like doing his little like, I'm the rebirth of America, baby. I'm da-da-da.
Yeah.
Like, all that. That's just
more
like...
That
sense.
explains it. Okay, because one of my notes that I had when I was watching through this was like, anytime Otis speaks, although I had him written down as Murder Man because I couldn't figure out what his name was. It's like, anytime Murder Man speaks, it sounds like word salad. Charles Manson, king of word salad. He's a salad boy.
That's right. And then my final fun fact is Otis Driftwood, Captain Spaulding, RJ, and Hugo, and the Firefly last name are all taken from characters played by Groucho Marx.
Interesting.
In fact, most of them are from the 1930, don't know the next number, let's say 1932 film Animal Crackers. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Rob Zombie's a huge Marx Brothers fan.
Yeah. He's a classicist.
Yes.
If you were to call somebody a thing.
He's also probably a classist by now.
Yeah.
He's rich enough to be a NIMBY.
Oh, yeah.
I had one other little fun fact. The weird audio that's piped in as they're descending in the coffin into the zombie pit, question mark?
Gobbledygook land.
The Gobbledygook land. Into the land where everything stops making sense, even more than the rest of the movie. That is actually Aleister Crowley from his poem, The Poet. So it's just one or two lines of that poem repeated endlessly on loop.
Yeah, it's like put me in a nameless grave.
Yeah, it's bury me in a nameless grave, and it's just that over and over and over again. Because when they started lowering them down, I was like, what the hell is this? Excuse me. Hi, what the hell is this?
Also, for years, it wasn't really honestly until probably this viewing that stuff really started to click. For years, I thought that incantation was literally summoning zombies, reanimating people, and that's why the muck people show up. Right. When she first gets lowered in. So I was like, oh, we're doing a weird zombie. God damn it, Rob.
Rob and his zombies.
Exactly. But then it wasn't until this viewing that I was like, oh, those are the critters that Mr. Satan has made. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Satan's critters. Mm-hmm. Sweet baby boys.
Dr. Satan. I didn't go to Satan Medical School for 6 years to call him Mr.
Yeah, Mr. Satan is actually a character from Dragon Ball. So a little different, a little lighter, a little more fun, family friendly. Dr. Satan, very different.
I like to think that, Dr. Satan is just a podiatrist.
Yeah.
It'll be great to see if there's a diploma on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
He's actually just a dermatologist. It's just, you've got terrible acne.
Oh man, the only piece of trivia that I have that I really enjoyed is that Rob Zombie really wanted to play Dr. Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
in
really?
the the little black and white, but no matter how many prosthetics and makeup and stuff they would put on him, he was really frustrated because that just looks like me.
Looks like
that's what I look like on the day. Yeah. So he's like, no, it's not gonna look. So he didn't. Yeah. So that's why.
If you find behind the scenes stills, he's not dressed up as his stage presence when he's directing. He looks like a normal guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. That makes sense. You start putting makeup and stuff on him, he looks like Rob Zombie. Yeah.
Even when you make up Rob Zombie, he's still Rob Zombie. If anything, he's just zombier.
Now on to Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
You got any?
I just got two. I was very lazy with this one.
Well, there's not a lot, so.
I don't have any.
No, I didn't get any.
I've got Sid Haig was in Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell.
Oh, interesting.
Of Big Trouble in Little China and Overboard.
Yeah.
And then my only other one is Walter Goggins was in Hateful Eight with Sam Jackson of Jurassic Park. And
that's funny. The only thing we have of Sam Jackson is Jurassic Park.
I know.
A tiny role.
Which is wild.
Oh my God.
I was like,
we have to do a Sam Jackson movie just to correct that, I think.
Exactly.
Well, I got Rainn Wilson in Galaxy Quest with Sam Rockwell from Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which we did. Dr. Satan, Walter Fellon.
Oh.
Is in Dusk Till Dawn with George Clooney.
Oh, no shit.
Who's also in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. And then Tiny, Matthew McRory. He was in Big Fish with Danny DeVito and Helena Bonham Carter.
I thought I recognized him from something.
He's in quite a few films. And then he passed away, sadly, after this film.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
Is that another gentleman then in Devil's Rejects? Because there's a Tiny is in Devil's Rejects for a little bit.
Maybe it's after that one he passed.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He didn't finish.
I think that was dedicated to him in that one. Okay, that makes more sense.
And he was supposed to have more scenes in that, I believe. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, because like it starts with like
this one's
him
dedicated
dragging a body, basically.
This one's dedicated, I think, to Hugo. I think Hugo didn't make it to the end. He actually died before this came out.
I guess that's another not so fun fact is I think like most of Rob Zombie's films have a life dedication because Sid Haig died during Three from Hell.
I think Karen Black also died after, I can't remember if it was after the filming of this movie or if it was after the filming.
She did like 2 more movies. I saw that too.
It was pretty quick after this one was done. Yep. She passed away too. So just so you know, if you do a Rob Zombie movie and you happen to be a famous horror actor, you might die a little bit afterwards.
Not just inside.
Not just inside. Outside too. The rest of your meat suit will die as well.
Well, with this uplifting conversation, we'll move on to thanking our executive producer, Addie Martinez. Thank you for staying on. And
thanks, Addie.
Producing.
Thanks, Daddy.
Thanks, Daddy, Addie.
And we'll go ahead and take our second ad break.
Ad break number 2.
And we're back with Act 3, the award categories. We'll start with my new band name.
Hell yeah.
Oh, let me just say that was actually one of the first thoughts that I had, like opening scene of this movie. I was like, fuck, this whole movie is fucking band names.
Yeah.
I think because it opens up on the billboard that's advertising Captain Spaulding's place, and it was like fried chicken and gasoline, and I was like, god damn it! I was like, this whole fucking movie, I'm calling
it's
it
a
right
ska
now.
band.
So if you guys don't mind, I'm just gonna get mine out of the way real quick. So the first one that I have is just, again, being a fan of Rob Zombie, is either a Rob Zombie album title or a song. And it's fried chicken and gasoline, culture of mechanical reproductions.
Hell yeah.
Just string together a bunch, it's 2 separate lines in the movie, or the fried chicken, Captain Spaulding, and the culture of mechanical reproductions is some of that word salad that Otis is saying in there. Yeah, so
nice.
Yeah. And then I'll say one more, and I'll save some. I have Shoo Shoo Said the Maiden.
Oh, I had that one too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And I had that as like a, I don't know, like some teenage screamo band or something.
Yeah, I
just
also
very, very wordy, kind of sounds like,
the vibe is very like hardcore emo band, Midwest, like drain my blood. Well, I guess on that note, I'll list mine. So I also had Shoo Shoo Said the Maiden. That just, again, strong emo vibes. Yeah. The other one I had was Fuck Yo Mama. Like, that'd be a great rap collective name. Just like, we are Fuck Yo Mama.
Their first FYM for short.
Oh, yeah.
FYM for short.
The first album was Fuck Yo Daddy.
Yeah. Oh, who's your daddy? And then the other one I had was Fish Boy, and they would be prog rock indie balladeers.
Nice.
Like
some Mumford & Sons bullshit.
Sharon Mumford & Sons, or like, oh god, of course I'm blanking on their name. Neutral Milk Hotel. Yeah. Very Neutral Milk Hotel. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, we are Fish Boy.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's definitely an accordion in there.
Yeah, a chorus of accordions come in.
Oh.
Chuck, I am expecting some of your best band names.
Yeah, I'm expecting
on this show,
from
man.
You.
So don't let us down, man.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna let you down. No, I had a lot, and then these are just my 3 favorite.
Yeah.
So a thrash metal band called Don't Like Chicken, Hate Clowns. Which is one of my favorite lines in the movie, because he's like, when he's first getting robbed, he's like, hey, it's like, don't be that, he's trying to do his clown kooky thing, and he's like, I'll give you some free fried chicken, brother. And he's like, cocks the shotgun, don't like chicken, hate clowns. For like a late 2000s dubstep act, I've got Dessert Mask.
Oh,
that's great. I love Grandpa. Grandpa is a very unsung hero in this movie.
Grandpa's he's a funky little guy.
Exactly. Yeah. I just love that it's like, they're like, we have to wear these masks, and he's just like, you better shut up and put on the fucking mask or else I don't get to eat dessert. Just do it.
And the dessert is puss, by the way. It's just puss.
It's your wife's puss. You're going to wake up, Grandma. Yeah, this movie, like, I watched this movie at a perfect time in my life because I was like,
So good.
I fucking died every time I saw that scene.
Little tiny Chuck watching this grandpa just like, yeah!
And then my final band name is also a rap collective. They're a horrorcore rap group, and they're called Fucked Up Shit.
Yeah, nice.
Because we like to get fucked up and do fucked up shit is one of my favorite lines in the whole movie.
Yeah, so good.
And then G. Ober's like, hell yeah, I like to get fucked up too.
Fucked up shit.
Buy yourself a new name, Goober.
It's G. Ober.
I looked that guy up. This is the only movie he's been in.
He's great.
He plays like he's acted his entire life.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually mistook him for somebody else. And
Right.
so once I looked up, it wasn't him.
I thought it was Josh Gad for a minute.
Yeah,
For a tiny minute. Early
Is
Josh
that Josh
Gad.
Gad?
yeah. And I was like, oh, it's not him. All right.
Well, I've got I forget which part of the movie it is now, but it's Captain Spaulding, and it's just the band name is Complimentary Chicken.
Yeah.
He just like out of the blue, like has a bag of chicken from under the counter.
Yeah. Complimentary chicken.
Wasn't sitting in a heat lamp or anything. It's just a fucking greasy bag of fucking
So much
old chicken.
salmonella.
Yeah. I mean, would you say no to a complimentary bag of chicken?
Not from him. I'll be like, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I'll be on my way now.
Thank you kindly. I will be leaving now. Post haste.
Oh.
And then is this the new?
Oh, yeah, we can slip it in
tropes?
here.
I don't have that one on my thing, so
It's all good.
I forgot that
You're
one.
good for it.
I had it a little later, but it's all good. I tripped on my way to the car that won't start. What horror tropes are on full display? And did this movie invent any?
I had a whole laundry list of tropes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, this movie's just an homage movie, so.
Yeah. It seems like he hit every major button you could possibly hope to hit
Yeah.
with horror tropes as far as this movie goes.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Next.
I can burn through them super quick.
Just go for it.
the ones
Yeah,
I've got,
list them off, Daddy.
We've got like I love all of them. The midnight movie intro is so good. Like I wish, again, too much fucking shit happens in this movie is my biggest like critique. But when there's things that I like, I'm like, I want more of that.
Yeah.
The burst into the room POVs are always like good, which leads into like there's jump scares, of course. The headlight reveal of RJ when he's coming to tow.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, someone's outside. And it's like, no, they're not. You're being a fucking idiot. And then it's like, I'm going to turn on the lights. And then turns on the lights at the exact time that he's there. Just standing in the rain.
In front of the headlights. Like the noise could have come from anywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, turn the headlights on. Maybe he's standing in front of us.
Yeah, conveniently.
This kind of leans into the Roger Deakins Award stuff, but the jump cuts during zooms, where it's like, that's a big horror movie trope where it's like you start zooming and all of a sudden it's like, boom, we're like there.
Yeah.
Wearing skin masks.
Yeah.
Because, homage to Texas. This is one of my least favorite things because I literally just a sidebar really fast. I was making a horror movie with like some friends when I was a teenager, and a friend of mine did this. And my friend who was directing got really pissed off and yelled, cut. And it's like, what? It's like, why did you do that? It's like, I don't know, man, because we're making a horror movie. But licking the blood off a knife. So like we did a cheesy slasher that we never finished the movie. But the kid that we were filming with, he like licked the blood off the knife. Like, and my friend who was directing was like, what the fuck are you doing now? And then he's like, why would he lick the blood off? And he's like, I don't know, because he's crazy. And that's exactly what Rob's doing here. It's like, why does Sherry Moon lick the blood off a knife? Because she's crazy. And so then that became, when we were making movies, we would just, use that as a joke. When we didn't know what to do. It's like, well, they could lick the blood off because they're crazy. But Rob went for it, so good for him.
Yeah.
At 15, I knew not to do that. And then my final big ones are the hand jutting out of the earth as she escapes. It's such a beautiful shot. Again, this is like, a lot of this stuff is like Roger Deakins stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the biggest trope of all, false sense of security at the end of a film where you're like, oh my God, like
We made it.
We made it.
We survived. No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tropes I got were definitely more along the lines of like plot tropes of like the kind of horror conventions from like a storytelling perspective. So the main one, obviously, Killer Clown. It's like a classic horror movie convention, classic, plot device. Also, my car broke down in the rain on a dark road. You stay here. I'll go get help because that never ends poorly.
Yeah.
Also had, wow, this house sure seems spooky. Let's knock on the door.
Hello, Mr. Killer. Are you home?
Let's pick up this hitchhiker in the middle of nowhere at night. I bet they won't be weird. Also, just freaky Southern folks. That is a whole like genre unto itself almost. Guess we'll just have to wait in the creepy house until we can get a ride. It's only the night before Halloween. I'm sure it'll be fine. Also, what an interesting room. I think I'll check it out. Wait, the door closed on its own. And also the zombie pit. I thought maybe this is a new trope. You fall into a pit and there's just a bunch of zombies waiting for you.
Yeah.
It's a Rob Zombie kind of, little button there.
Well, there's one, it comes to mind now, the one they make fun of on South Park a lot is like, that road, don't go down the road. You don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
That's where the spooky forest is.
Yeah.
And there's literally a tree they're trying to find in this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, God. Been rewatching the Friday 13th movies, and it's the first two movies is where that trope is from.
Okay.
It's one character who's like, you're doomed. You're all doomed. And like, he's like, oh, don't go to Camp Crystal Lake. You won't come back.
Yeah.
And like, now Chester, stop scaring the girl. Yeah. That's what that trope is originally from.
Right. Is it? Yeah. Nice.
Updated movie title.
I'll go real quick. I had What the Hell is Happening, a movie. That was it.
I like it.
Pretty much sums it up. It's like, the shit is this?
I'd go watch that though.
Yeah, I'd probably watch that more.
Come see the shit is this. See what the shit is.
I like that, like the classic movie, like, in a world voice, and like it's like, come see the film, and like all that. It's like, maybe you can answer the age-old question: what the fuck is actually happening?
Yes. That's got to be the name for our next. When we do something for Halloween next year.
Yeah.
There's a horror film.
What the shit is this?
I have The House Built on Sin.
Ooh.
Nice.
Which is from the titular song by Rob Zombie. Yeah.
That's actually catchy. That's like, that's like a real name.
Just because I was like, I don't know. Didn't specify there's 1,000 corpses, man.
I would go watch that movie and be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, it's not the fun sin. I wanted liquor and cocaine.
I wanted more boobies.
Yeah, way more boobies.
I don't have one.
I had Meet the Fireflies.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like a riff on Meet the Feebles, but yeah.
Or Meet the Fockers.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
That fits into a later one. That's well suits a remake right there.
Yeah.
I like that. The Roger Deakins Would Be Proud Award for cinematography.
Less about cinematography, more just about the sets and the actual kind of treatment of the costumes and the makeup. Everything there was just so like detailed and juicy and delicious, and from like a character design standpoint, it was like this is lovely. This like I wanted it to be good so badly, because all of like the world itself that you're dropped into is so immersive and so just like toothsome. You can really just kind of get into it. Kind of similar to like what you said about it being a music video. I felt like it should have been a comic book because it had that same kind of energy. It was just so detailed. So not really anything to do with like the way it was actually shot or filmed, but the actual kind of treatment of the set itself to me was very, very cool to see. It was like classic, super detailed old Hollywood shit.
That's right.
There's a shot that I really like when they are on the spooky road looking for said spooky tree, and it's raining, and you see, I forgot what kind of car it is. It might be an Oldsmobile. I don't know, but it looks, the older car.
I was gonna look it up. I think it's an old Ford, like a stupidly old Ford. Like doesn't even belong in this movie.
Right? Yeah. 'Cause I don't know what year.
Yeah, like.
50s. But yeah, they're pulling up, driving through the mud, and you're watching them through the trees and the branches. But it's not like handheld, and it's not like blurry or anything. It's like very clear, and they have just like a. What's the point? Must have just lighting just right above where the car pulls up.
Yeah.
And yeah,
there's a lot of good outdoor like crane lights.
Yeah,
showing off the scenery for sure.
Yeah, so I like that. It was just very classic horror movie, but like it looked good. Yeah.
Chuck?
Yeah, my biggest one, and it's a reoccurring shot. It's the eerie slow zooms during close-ups.
Yes.
And the eerie pulls on just establishing shots.
Yeah.
And it's a very big horror movie trope, but it works so well. It's like,
yes.
And it specifically, anytime Sid Haig opens his mouth, it's just the slow zoom.
It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes your skin crawl because it's so
itchy.
slow. Yeah.
So good. So good.
So that's definitely it. And then my other one is Tiny's entrance. You get his like super high POV.
Yeah. It's almost blasé, like.
Yeah, exactly. And like everyone just is like, haha, like this place is fucking weird. Let's eat dessert. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone stops and just like, what is that behemoth of a thing? And they hold that shot for a second. So you as an audience member are like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then it's like revealed that it's like, oh, it's just a gentle giant.
Ish.
Yeah, gentle-ish.
Yeah, I had kind of an honorable mention because it was, I don't know if it was necessarily a good choice, but it was certainly a bold choice, was the uncomfortably long death sequence of the cop.
That's mine is like, that's watching this, I don't remember this being in it, but that's like the most brilliant shot I've seen in a long time in any film. And I don't know if it's an homage to another film, but there's this huge like action-packed showdown with the sheriff, the detective, and Otis. And then there's this crane up. We don't have any other crane shots. No. It goes way up.
Yep.
And then the music stops. And you have like it's like a 30-second dead track.
I think it's 26 seconds total of dead silence, waiting. It's so viscerally uncomfortable that my whole note for that sequence is just, why is this so slow? Oh my God, it's so slow. This is so uncomfortable. What's happening? Oh my God, finally he's dead.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't have that one down is because I'm like, it is that thing where I'm like, it's just like, can we just move along? Fuck, can we move along? And then like when it finally happens, it's like, it's like a relief. It's like trying to sneeze.
Yeah.
Like you're like, just shoot Walter Goggins, please.
Well, that's why I liked it, because it was the first time either was in editing or in pre-production when they figured it out, but they actually fucked with the pace of the movie.
Yeah.
Up to then it's like go. And like there's just one drawn out moment. It's like the fucking Fistful of Dollars or something.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie has nuggets. That's the thing. It's like it's doing too much. It's doing the most. It's doing the absolute most when it could have been doing an awful lot less. But there are bits within it where it's like, oh no, that's like kind of brilliant. Yeah. Like, oh wow, no, that was like a choice. Like, do more of that. Do less of this. A lot less of this. Yeah. And a lot more of this bit right over here, because every so often there's like a line or a sequence or something where it's just like, oh no, whoever made this is clearly intelligent and very, very well versed in film. They just, it's a student film. This was Robert Zombie, a student.
That being said, I'm totally going to steal that crane shot. Oh, yeah. That's...
Yeah.
No one's going to know where it comes from at all.
Why, Mr. Robert Zombie, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that Channing Tatum in a dog collar? Yeah. Who's your guys' unexpected cameo or bit part?
I have a false one, but I mean, my main one is Rainn Wilson.
Same.
Like, just surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it on and I was like, oh, look, there's Dwight. What are you doing here, Dwight?
My fake one, which I was mistaken with, and I ashamedly thought I mistook this person for the entire time I've watched this movie. Mother Firefly. I thought was, and I forget her name, but I thought it was the mother from American.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
American Pie.
I also mistook her for Jennifer Coolidge at first. Yeah.
Well, it's confusing because there's a different actress in Devil's Rejects.
Not Jennifer Coolidge.
Also not Jennifer Coolidge.
To be clear.
But the woman in Devil's Rejects, like, is spitting image of Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably why I was confused. But yeah, those are mine. What you guys?
Yeah, so I had, it's funny because I vividly remember Rainn Wilson being in it, so I didn't have that one for mine. But the one that I didn't remember was Walton Goggins.
Yeah, Walton Goggins.
I was like, wait. I was like, he's been around since 2003? I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, because to be honest, I know him from Justified Forward. Or from Justified Moving Forward. I don't know him from anything before that. And Justified was what, like 06, 07, something like that?
Okay.
So when I saw him, I was like, whoa, caught me off guard. And then he shows up earlier in the film, but I didn't notice it at first. I didn't notice it until he meets up with the sheriffs, but the dad. Yeah, and it's only because, he's from Saving Private Ryan, and he's literally wearing the same fucking clothes. Yeah. That's when I noticed that. I was like, wait a minute, I paused it. I'm like,
to be fair, that's just old guy costume.
I was like, that's the same jacket, same fucking blue. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, old guy costume. Yeah. I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, I had to pull it up on my phone and be like, yeah, that's him. And then I looked it up on IMDb. I was like,
that's old Matt Damon.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Which I guess, no, Private Ryan was
98.
98. Oh wow.
Yeah.
He's old, so he looks the same. But like, yeah. I was like, whoa. That's what I had. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was Walter Goggins as well as deputy
Walton.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a
Walton family.
Like the Walton.
He started out going as Walt.
So
people thought it was Walter, but it was Walton.
Gagon. Okay.
Walton Gagon. Yes, God.
Yeah.
Which makes him even more Louisiana than he already is.
Exactly. But yeah, I had him as my award, but my runner-up, honestly, was Chris Hardwick. I did not remember he was in this at all, and also I know it's just like a bad wig and a hat. He is not very recognizable. I was like, oh, that's Chris Hardwick? Because I saw the intro credits and I was like, when is he going to show up? And I was like, oh, he's one of the dudes. That being said, not a Chris Hardwick fan at all. So, in my humble opinion, this is his best movie because I just don't like the man, and I'm like, oh, he didn't do much in this, so he's perfect.
Which is hilarious because he's fucking terrible in this.
I know. That's what I mean. I'm not saying he's doing great.
Oh, I thought you like such a man. Like, oh, he was fine here. Like,
it's the best of the worst.
Yeah,
this is just something best of the worst. Yeah, this is just something that I will watch occasionally that he happens to be in.
Do you have one, Julia?
I just had Rainn Wilson as well. I mean, again, having not seen this before, I was familiar with the characters of Captain Spaulding and Baby because of just, being around Chuck long enough. But I had no idea who else was in this cast. And I was like, oh, it's going to probably be all, unrecognizable actors. It's all going to be, B-list folks. And I was very pleasantly surprised when Dwight walked onto the screen and was like, Dwight, what are you doing here? The office is not here. But
false.
It was, I would say Rainn Wilson was the biggest surprise because even though there were definitely other kind of, surprises in the cast, Rainn Wilson was the one where I was like, hey, what are you doing here, kid?
Right on. On to, it's a sailboat.
Yeah. For a bigger theme, personally, I had to really,
Yeah, to think about this one.
I had to think about this one. The only one I came up with is, don't venture where you're not welcome.
That road.
I struggled with this one because I was like, there's definitely supposed to be a theme. There's supposed to be some sort of overarching message. I think it might be something to do with classism. It's hard to tell. But it gets lost amongst the gobbledygook of it all. So if there was ever supposed to be some big metaphor, some grand overarching this is the symbolism of the movie, it's just gone. It's absolutely lost amongst the zombie muck. It's just buried. So maybe the South has some problems with poverty. Is maybe the grand overarching
that's
theme.
a generous reading.
Yeah.
I would say.
If we're going to give it a little more credit than it's due. You can't get real intellectual with this shit.
Nothing really. I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, blood and boobies are great.
Yeah.
Big two B's, the double B's, blood and boobies.
I put down never antagonize a clown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
There's a very clear sign that there are problems. You just don't want to get involved with. Just be nice and be on your way.
Take the chicken, take the free
Take the
chicken,
fucking
and
chicken.
leave.
That's damn
And
right.
don't stop on the damn dark road for a strange lady who needs a ride to the Dr. Satan house.
Don't follow a map.
Don't do it.
Written by a pissed off clown.
Yeah.
On a dirty chicken napkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already raining. You're already
Seems like
lost.
a bad idea.
Yeah, that's another trope. Is like, obviously you shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
No.
Obviously you should be well on your way trying to find the interstate, getting the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like there are like that's a whole like subplot too is like they're late to meet that one woman's father already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, Dad, we're gonna add 6 more hours.
Yeah. It's like, or maybe don't.
Right, on to the Hans Gruber Deathfall Award.
I gave it to, forgive me, I do not know her name. I've been calling her bitch tits in my notes, but the one who was just kind of rude and angry.
Yeah. Get the fuck off of him.
Get the fuck out of him. Fuck you. No, I just thought her death scene was satisfying because for me it felt like the most like classic horror death scene.
Yeah.
It was the only one where she was killed with a knife. It was like the classic, slasher running through the woods. Where's the boogeyman gonna come from? Or in this case, Sherry Moon and her beautiful butt. But it was like, it just had that kind of classic horror feel that I wanted. And it was also satisfying because it was like, is she gonna live? Is she gonna die? Who knows? Oh my God, she's afraid. Oh, she's getting away. Oh no, she's dead. Oh my God.
Yep, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have the 2 robbers in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Because it just pissed me off. Because, again, I hadn't seen this movie in so long, but it just pissed me off. That like, God, they're fucking terrible actors. And I was like, why are we starting off the movie with these fucking like, fuck these guys?
Yeah.
We can shoot him in the face.
And then they get like, oh, cool, shot in the face, like perfect, love it. So,
Nice.
Thank you, Mr. Robert Zombie.
Yes.
I couldn't come up with one. I just everyone who I wanted to die didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So nothing satifying. Yeah, I didn't have a satisfying one. I had Bill becoming Fish Boy because it still kind of grosses me out, even though
it's gross.
Even though I know like it's a very tacky like model and whatnot, it's still like, oh, I don't like this.
Fish Boy.
Exactly.
Controversial hot takes.
I had one. I was like, you probably should watch this just exclusively for the camp value. From the perspective of camp, it's like solid. It's classic.
You could recognize it as an homage to the entire genre of horror films.
It's campy and delicious in that way. As a horror film, it's got some fun kind of, classic horror elements, obviously, but it's just... There's so much going on that it's hard to appreciate it as a horror film, but if you appreciate it as like a campy disaster movie, then it's great.
Yeah.
I don't have a hot take.
No?
I couldn't come up with one.
No,
Me neither. I didn't really have anything.
I've got 2.
Go for it.
The main one, which I was saying I was going to save, is the fucking Dr. Satan plot does not need to be in this movie.
Hot take.
It convolutes everything and feels more like a bad device than an actual choice.
Yeah.
Also, like, the whole Dr. Satan thing, like, dude, just make that movie then.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole movie right there.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand that, like, he's part of the murder Firefly clan and all of that, but it's like, he's such a, minute thing at the end.
He's mentioned like twice.
He's mentioned, that it's like... Like, Otis is like a fucking horrific sociopath. Like, just have Otis be the guy who is cutting people up and doing stuff.
I actually misremembered Otis as Dr. Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's what I thought it would be in the end.
Yeah.
Well, Otis is Dr.
There's
Satan.
that whole super confusing scene when he's like literally wearing a skin suit and he's like, you went looking for the devil, boy. Well, guess what? You found him?
Yeah.
That's like, as a kid, forever, I took that as like, oh, he's, every time I would watch the movie, I'd be like, oh yeah, he's Dr. Satan.
He's Mr. Dr. Satan.
No, it's fucking Grandpa in Underground with the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
With the Doc Ock thing going on.
Doc, you got a puss.
Which I mean, to be fair, your hot take is, Devil's Rejects.
Exactly.
My hot take is go watch Devil's Rejects.
My hot take is Devil's Rejects is a much better movie. Which it is.
Which is.
And then, this is, I guess, kind of laying into the Saw episode, too, of like, this is one of those, examples of the sequel is better. And then my more comical hot take is, not knowing that it's all a trap, the traveling crew are incredibly rude and ungrateful for getting their car towed and repaired and being sheltered from a storm.
Yeah.
Like, yes, like, it's a ooky, spooky skeleton house, and Sherry Moon is just like being a little like nympho weirdo and stuff like that. But dude, you are out of like torrential downpour and you don't know you're gonna die. Like, some dude out of the kindness of his heart is gonna like fix your axle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like there's any pay expected. Because there's no, like, there's not even a moment where they're like, oh my God, thank you for fixing our tire. What do we owe you? There's none of that. It's like, can you hurry up so we can get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, it's going to take a couple hours. A couple hours?
Yeah, it's like,
what are we supposed to do for a couple hours? It's
like, I don't know, not fucking get like pneumonia from being outside in this.
So moral of the story is, if you're taken into a house full of inbred Southerners, just be nice.
Yeah.
Being nice goes a long way.
I mean, I think it improves your chances.
Yeah.
Even 1%.
Be polite. Be courteous. Say please and thank you. And maybe they won't go crazy murder mannequin all over your ass.
Yeah, because they like laugh in Mama Firefly's face. They call Baby a whore to her face. Like, like, it's just like, dude, just don't do that. And
they
maybe
give
you won't
Tiny Tim the evil eye.
Yeah, maybe don't do that and you won't get slaughtered.
Yeah, be nice. Be nice and people will want to kill you less.
Babe, I have to have sex with Sherry Moon Zombie. Like, I think we're going to die if I don't. Like, just.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how to tell you this, but...
Time for another Spider-Man. I think that the sequels speak for themselves.
I was going to say, that's going to be a hard no for me, compadre.
I said, have you seen 3 from Hell? Absolutely fucking not. Mr. Zombie needs to stop making movies.
Yep. Or he needs a partner. He needs someone to help.
This is an open letter to Mr. Robert Zombie. Mr. Robert Zombie.
Mr. Zombie.
Please don't.
So here's the thing. I just don't think that he should write his own stuff.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
That's
like he should, take someone else's idea, someone else's screenplay that they wrote, and I think he also needs to play nice and not be like, I'm fucking Robert Zombie, right?
Yeah,
exactly. I think then he'd be like, hey, can you just like kind of try to stick to this kind of like, okay, I'll work with that, because I think he's got amazing ideas. I think we all said, touched on a lot of that, and
just set design, cinematography, all that's like there. So
Right.
It's just he needs someone else's script.
Right. I'm not saying give up total control at all, but just be like, okay, let me take a deep breath, play nice, and do somebody else's script, and I think they would be solid.
He's clearly got a directorial eye. He just doesn't write good.
Yeah. There's a really amazing video essayist and fellow podcaster named Nick Spheres.
Shout out Nick Spheres.
She does a really good video on, I think it's called The Ballad of Rob Zombie. And she does like a whole thing about like just him and his career and his arc and stuff like that. And how like her big point towards the end, without, you should still watch the video, but her big point is he's just trapped in weird, icky fan service land where he is no longer making things that interest him in any way, shape, or form. Because he's actually like gone on record saying one of his like dream movies, because he's a huge hockey fan apparently.
What?
He wants to make like a, I don't know, forgive me, I don't know the name of the team or anything like that, but he wants to make like an origin story, like kind of Mighty Ducksy, but like serious, like sort of hockey movie.
Like Goon?
Yeah, like a Goon kind of thing. Like he wants to make one of those, but like it's just, he's like, like that's just not what people want to see from me.
You'd have to do it under a different name.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's like a thing is like, he's just, he's making these stupid clown movies because that's what people eat up.
Yeah. Bless you, Rob Zombie, for feeding the children.
And here comes Kanye. We take a little break to go over pluggables. Anybody got anything going on?
Not at the moment.
Again, we are taking applications for sugar daddies.
Yes.
And sour daddies.
And sour daddies.
Any kind of daddy, really.
Any kind of daddy that's willing to provide us with money, clothes, materials, etc. You can hit us up, DM us, and we'll send you our Zelle or Cash App. Or you can just go to our Patreon. That's usually a lot easier.
I'd rather not get DMs from sugar daddies if you don't mind.
Can I see your toes?
That is an option. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should start an OnlyFans. I mean, there's more than porn on there, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Tell us, guys, would you watch us on OnlyFans if we all stripped down to our skivvies and did this podcast?
Yeah.
There would be no sex having, but we would all be naked and we'd be sitting here.
It would just be a camera pointed at our feet.
Yeah.
Our naked feet while we podcast.
Instead of strip podcast or strip poker, it's strip podcast.
Yeah, strip
and
podcasting.
Like, every time there's a disagreement or if anyone cuts anyone off, they have to lose an article of clothing.
We'll do a Pee-wee's thing if they say the magic word.
Exactly. It's like,
check out
strip.
Luke's feet pics, now available on Patreon.
All right, on to the Sonic Death Monkey Top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 Grindhouse films.
Grandos.
This one, because I fucking love all things schlock and horror and camp and all of that. This one I had to give myself personally, so you guys are welcome to have completely wildly different takes on this. I had to give myself very specific parameters because otherwise I would just be like, oh, I'd be sweating. I'd be like, what movie do I pick? Do I really undersell that? Like, that's a gem. I should let people know about it. Da, da, da. So I specifically went for actual quote unquote grindhouse movies that played midnight releases prior to like 85.
Wow.
Because everything that I would call a grindhouse movie that came out in the mid to late 80s and onward is actually like a direct-to-video movie.
Well, don't keep us in anticipation. Get on with it.
All right. And also, that being said, I even have I have films I prefer to the ones that are on the list. So my top 5, number 5 is The Harder They Come, which is fucking incredible if you haven't seen it. It's a story of a young hustler coming up in Jamaica and basically running the streets of Kingston and all that. It's super fun and campy. That being said,
what would you prefer?
What I would prefer is Petey Wheatstraw. Petey Wheatstraw, I don't think it ever played in theaters. It's a Roy Moore movie, gentleman who played Dolomite. It's basically Dolomite dies and goes to hell and comes back.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
So better movie.
I'm actually familiar with that one.
My number 4 is El Topo, the Jodorowsky classic. It's an acid western. It's basically Siddhartha. It's like a man who goes through what it means to want and whatnot. That being said, Santa Sangre is my preferred Jodorowsky movie. Really fucking weird movie about a mute man who helps his paraplegic sister or mother, I haven't seen it in a long time, do a circus act. Fucking bizarre. I don't think it played, so it doesn't count. Number 3 is Old Fritz the Kitty Cat. Meow meow. One of the first X-rated cartoons. It's a Ralph Bakshi classic. It's fucking amazing. It's really fun. It's still very horny, but it's not as taboo and horny as people make it out to be.
Right.
That being said, you should watch Coonskin instead, because that is an incredible social commentary film using essentially the stories of Uncle Remus, like Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit, yada yada, to tell in a really well done story of classism and racism in America. My number 2 is The Evil Dead, because it technically is a grindhouse movie and it counts. It's fucking amazing. It holds up. It was made on a shoestring budget and it looks beautiful to this day. That being said, Evil Dead 2 is better.
Controversial hot takes.
My number 1 is The Toxic Avenger.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're remaking that right
They
now.
are remaking it. I am actually excited to see the remake.
Did I send
same.
that to you, or did I just imagine? Did I send you that?
Everyone has sent it to me, so you might have sent it to me.
Okay. Or just like the latest that like the early screenings are like. Yeah, it's like a.
My mom has even like
97%,
everyone.
yeah.
Like my mom's like, did you know? Like, and I was like, hell yeah, mom.
Yeah.
Toxic Avenger remake.
Yeah, and then I guess my alt for that one would be Tromeo and Juliet. It's fucking wild.
Classic.
Nice.
Yeah, so first I'm going to say my picks, and then I'll say something that's way better than my picks. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, this one was yeah, I didn't know how to take this too, so I kind of just, came up with the list that I came up with. So
Sure.
we'll see. But number 5, I have House of a Thousand Corpses.
Nice.
Just because, again, just from the art perspective of it, it's just it's fun, it's cool.
Sure.
And yeah, I just don't have that on there. Number 4, I have the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hell yeah.
Could not have this on that list. So
No.
number 3, I have Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Oh, I still have not seen that.
Oh, it's so fucking good. I think I like it better than Bone Tomahawk.
Really? Yeah. Vincent Vaughn, huh?
Yeah, it's solid.
His
It's a lot of fun.
His series movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Number 2, I can't argue with the guy, so I have to have Death Proof on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then number 1, which was a result of Death Proof and Planet Terror's Grindhouse attempt, I have Machete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
So much fun. They got they just full went on. They have the voiceover and everything. That's so good. So good.
I got some Rodriguez movies on mine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Julie?
So for me, I think I went a little more broad than you guys did, just because my horror reference shelf is much more minuscule, I would say. So mine is definitely not necessarily strictly Grindhouse, but it's kind of my flavor of campy horror. So in no particular order, I did have Suicide Club on here, which is not campy horror, but it has that same kind of like over the top, super intense, like high stakes, nasty ickiness to it. And then I had Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the gay one specifically the gay one, which is, I would say, one of, if not my favorite horror film, just in general. I also had The Stiff, which is one that Chucky Baby Boy showed me, and is just so good, so ridiculous. Does have some kind of interesting social commentary in it as well, which is kind of nice. We love to see it, but it definitely is like in that same vein of just campy, ooky, spooky, kooky kind of stuff. Also had Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Nice.
Yeah.
On there. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Because again, campy, ridiculous, a little bit gorier, definitely completely ridiculous. And the last one I had, it is a movie, but it's a movie that I haven't seen, so I included it because the comic is one that I actually just really enjoy, and I would say read the comic. If you want to watch the movie, sure, go for it, but the comic's great. Uzumaki by Junji Ito.
I haven't seen the movie either.
Yeah, it has a movie. The critic reviews seem, lukewarm. The audience reviews are like very hit or miss. It's either people love it or people hate it. Seems really interesting, but the comic itself is what I'm familiar with, and I would argue that I read a lot more horror than I watch horror, and for me this is like pinnacle. It's, disgusting to look at, visually extremely unappealing. And no, the art's brilliant. It's extraordinarily disturbing and trippy the way that it's drawn. Junji Ito has obviously a huge following for a reason. He's a fantastic artist, but the reason it came to mind in relation to this movie is that it has a similar kind of sense of, dread that gets built up. There's a similar kind of intensity. There's kind of a slight ridiculousness to the situation, but because it's kind of horrifying, you're willing to suspend your disbelief. So again, not strictly speaking a movie, although there is a movie of it.
Sure.
But the comic is absolutely brilliant, and I've heard good things about the movie too, so maybe you should check it out.
Right on.
Hell yeah.
Well, since I don't do horror much, my version of Grindhouse is a little more focused on the ultra-violent thing. My number 5, Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Nice.
Just blood everywhere. Just everywhere.
That's the whole movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much the whole movie. It's swords in the modern times.
Nice.
Blood. Number 4, very, very reaching, but Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Interesting.
It has the elements.
Yeah.
It has the violence. It has the trippiness.
It's got the bones.
Exactly. That for that to me is like, when I think Grindhouse, to me that fits.
Sure.
And it's just one of my favorite movies of all time. Despite it being hilarious, there's like really gross things in it.
Yeah.
There's body horror and stuff like that. Number 3, another bloody one, El Mariachi.
Yeah.
And I'm have you seen it, Julia?
I haven't seen that one.
Okay.
No.
There's everyone I talk to, I wish they would see this movie, because it's the Rodriguez original before Desperado, Machete. It's his student film.
Yeah.
That was helped and produced and just fucking, it's good. Yeah. My number 2, Dusk Till Dawn. Again, blood,
Nice.
monsters,
Nice.
effects, stuff like that. To me, fits Grindhouse.
Yeah.
Nice.
And number 1, which is also, some people might not see it as Grindhouse, but Mad Max.
Oh, okay.
I would call the first
yeah,
one.
I could see
No,
it.
no, the second one.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah.
The second
Oh,
one's
yeah,
Mad
yeah.
Max. It's much more bloody. It's much more costumey.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that camp
violent.
factor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got the boomerang to the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little
works.
feral
Nice.
kid.
Tina Turner.
Well, she's in Thunderdome.
Oh, yeah, no,
That's
she's in
just-
Thunderdome.
But yeah, that's me. Just because I don't do horror much, those are like, none of those are horror, but that's my Grindhouse top 5.
Hell yeah.
Solid.
Also, hot take. I think anything made in Australia before like 96 is a Grindhouse movie, because it's just like, anything shot in the outback is pretty grindy.
Or anything made in Italy in the 70s or by Italians in the 70s kind of counts as a Grindhouse.
Well, I looked at a couple lists, and the Morricone films were listed as Grindhouse. All the Fistful of Dollars and the Clint Eastwood films. Yeah, it's very much gritty, gross, violent,
Icky.
Yeah. Right on. So, who won the movie?
Yeah.
Who's our?
Ooh. I had trouble with this one only because for how choppy and, how much the rest of the movie lacked cohesion and like a clear point. There were a lot of really good performances in this movie. So I split it between Sid Haig and Karen Black, just because I thought her portrayal of Mama was like so campy and ridiculous and over the top. And his, again, same thing with Sid Haig's character is just like so... both of those characters I felt like were the most enfleshed. They were the most kind of clear cut. You knew kind of, even though you didn't know anything about either of those characters from an actual like plot or background perspective, because Mr. Robert Zombie forgot to give us those details. Where's the background, Mr. Robert Zombie? Even though we were missing everything that would normally kind of endear you to a character, they both are just so good at creating, distinctive, people, and fully realized, individuals that it was still enjoyable to see them perform.
And a phenomenal Jennifer Coolidge impression.
Phenomenal Jennifer Coolidge impression. Oh my goodness. Every single one of us thought she was Jennifer Coolidge. It's so
Fooled me for 20 years.
Like, I legitimately saw her in the first scene, was like, is that Jennifer Coolidge?
That was Robert Zombie's tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do Jennifer Coolidge.
There you go, yeah.
Mr. Robert Zombie said, just do Jennifer Coolidge. The whole part is just Jennifer Coolidge, but it's not Jennifer Coolidge.
Rest in peace, Karen Black. You would have loved Legally Blonde too.
Yeah. Would have been great in Legally Blonde too.
I got Sid Haig. That's just the most memorable. The thing that puts the smile on my face in this film is the first 20, 30 minutes with him in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have, even though it was short-lived by like legacy standards, but I have Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon.
Yeah.
I think they already, obviously he was already big, but just kind of gave him an extra artistic outlet for a while, and that people kind of ate up, and for the most part, and I think it just, got to have a lot of fun with it, I think, with his subsequent films. Whether we had fun with them or not, gave him another thing that he was passionate about and tried to do, and or at least for a while was passionate about, and maybe not the later films, but
sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can see that.
I mean, I have to give it to Sid Haig just because he's so, like, Captain Spaulding's just iconic, and he's just, like, chewing the scenery every chance he gets. But my runner-up is Rob Zombie's Antique Collection.
Yes.
Like, that's actually who I want to give the award to, but Sid Haig is so good.
The winner of the film is actually Rob Zombie's Basement.
Exactly.
For all of the contributions that it made to the entire film. Set dressing, strange, cut in, like, grindcore shots. All of that was thanks to Mr. Robert Zombie's Basement. So here's to you, Basement.
Mm-hmm.
On to the verdict. Do we let it live? Do we monitor it, or do we kill it?
I am going to let it live with the caveat that Devil's Reject's better. Like, you should just watch that one, probably. That being said, though, despite the wonky third act, I still had a lot of fun. And also, this movie does have, as choppy and all over the place it is, like, it still has some really fun elements of horror and some good laughs here and there. And yeah, like, as we touched on, beautiful set design, some nice little nuggets of acting from some of the folks. And yeah, I thought about monitoring it, but I'm just going to let it live.
Yeah, I also had Let It Live in the sense that, like, while it does suffer from an awful lot of issues, shall we say, I think that it ultimately accomplishes what it set out to do, which is create a campy kind of homage to Hollywood horror classics. And it does that. It does that in a way that, you have to forgive a few things. You have to watch it, maybe with a kind eye, but kind and gentle interpretation. But it definitely sets out to do what it wants to do. And, as far as cult classics go, I can see why it has, a cult following, and why, some people really, really just vibe with this movie. It has that kind of quality to it where it's like, okay, maybe it has, as we said, she's got some issues, but we still like her. She's still fun to take out for a drink,
I have, I'm going to monitor it.
Same.
And I think just because, again, if you had asked me 10 years ago, like, I would have, recommended it to everybody, regardless of what your taste is. Whereas like now I might feel somebody out first and then be like, I think you'd get a kick out of 1,000 Corpses. You should check that out. Mm-hmm. You might not, but I think, so, and I also wouldn't spend time trying to convince somebody that what, just watching like
how many drinks would it take for you to get there?
I don't know. Maybe later tonight. I'm going to a party after this, so I'll be sending you guys Instagram videos.
That'd be great if that's the story we get out of tonight. Is everyone's like, "Oh, Javi wouldn't shut up about this movie."
Said it was the best thing he'd ever seen in his life. Said Sherry Moon's tits are amazing.
I am one of those people. I'll probably, just because I've talked about it, now it will be in my drunk mind and it's going to come up, and It's
Baby was her name. Yeah.
It's worse because it's a Mexican party I'm going to later, so nobody's gonna know what the fuck I'm talking about.
So when
at
you
all.
get real toasted and start going, "Who's your daddy?" They're gonna be like, "What the fuck are you on?"
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll check in.
Yeah, we'll report back. I'm going to monitor it too, just because as rewatchability goes, I'm probably not going to watch this again because I watched this in an analytical fashion.
Yeah.
I kept my eyeballs on every frame just to catch it all in, but I don't feel the need. I mean, I don't think I would have fun watching this again. Devil's Rejects, I probably would.
Yeah, my Let Live was like a very light Let Live.
Yeah.
I was leaning
Yeah.
much more
Caveats,
towards
yeah.
the monitor.
It's kind of like let her live, but keep her in a cage downstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Let her out on holidays.
Yeah. Much like the cheerleaders, like, just don't kill them yet.
Yeah, let her live, but in like the loosest sense, like, give her some bread and some water and a little bit of sunshine and
Feed her some Agatha Crispies.
Yeah, a little
Right on. Well, thank you for listening, if you're still listening. I have been Luc Londe.
I have been Chuck Starzenski.
I've been Javier Martinez.
And I've been Julia.
And we have been the Nostalgia Killers.
Bang, bang.